Yeah, I think I got it here. Take it down. Yow! Drop down, get all dirty. You just gotta bend your knees. Get down, get all dirty. Drop down, get all dirty. Just roll up your sleeves. Get down, get all dirty. It's brown, brown and dirty funky beat. Get down, down and dirty. Don't hold back, you can dive right in. There's no time like now to begin. Get down, down and dirty. Yeah! Got a one-track mind when it comes to digging. With a shovel or a spade, I'm like a happy little pig in mud. Got a one-track mind when it comes to digging. With a shovel or a spade, I'm like a happy little pig in mud. Get down, get all dirty. Just gotta bend your knees. Get down. I can dig it. Drop down, get all dirty. Just roll up your sleeves. Get down, get all dirty. Yeah! Turn off that screen, get yourself unclean. There's a whole new paradigm and you don't need a neon sign. Embrace a change, make a shift. It's time for everyone to live, so spread the word, make some noise. All the mums and dads, all the girls and boys. Let's dance! Yeah! Get down. Yeah, I think I got it here. Get down. Take it down. Love it. Let's move it. Get down. Get
Good morning, everyone, and happy World Soil Day. Good morning, Costa the Garden Gnome.
Good morning, Scrap Boy, and good morning, everyone. This is one of my, well, look, I'm not even going to say one of. I think this could well be my favorite day on the calendar, Scrap Boy.
I totally agree with you. Good morning, everyone. You can call me Scrap Boy, or for one day only, you can call me Soil Boy. I am tuning in here on StreamYard for Facebook for World Soil Day on a visit to Turrbal and Yagara lands up in Queensland. Would love to know where in the world you are tuning in from. Costa, where are you this morning?
Scrap Boy, I'm down here on Gadigal land in Sydney, and I think you know today is World Soil Day. It was set up by the UN back in 2013, and really it is all about acknowledging country. It's about acknowledging where we are. It's about acknowledging the part of the planet that we're on, how it's been looked after. It's about acknowledging the elders past and present and emerging. It's about acknowledging nature, and there is no life without soil. Soil is life, and life is soil. So, you know, on a day like today, to be able to celebrate it and then take that celebration across to every day, that what we do every day is a chance to celebrate soil. Wow, look at all the people coming in. Bega.
They're from everywhere this morning. This is so exciting.
Bellarine Peninsula, where else? South Maclean in Queensland, Thurrowa and Dharawal lands outside. Hello, Saffron, Stevie Willis. Happy World Soil Day to you. Wow, there's people.
Summersby,
Perth, outback Queensland, snowy mountains, southwest North Carolina. Annie's here from North Carolina. Hello, Annie. Narangba in Queensland, Harvey Bay. Wow, no mudslinging, Cheryl Louise said.
Oh, and Deb's come from Yapoon. We've got Alana Benita from the UK, Ulladulla. This is so exciting. We are literally celebrating World Soil Day all together, all around the world. I also wanted to introduce everyone to my soil companion and dear friend, Josie the chicken. She spent her morning out in the soil for World Soil Day as well. If you love chickens or have chickens, say good day to Josie wherever you're dialing in from around the world this morning.
Josie's filling the screen there, Scrap Boy. I like I like that. I do like that.
It's someone's birthday as well. That's exciting. What a great day to be born on World Soil Day.
All right, it's a perfect day. I'd be happy to. And it's Dirt Girl. You realise it's Dirt Girl's birthday.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's
Dirt Girl. Dirt Girl is currently in Dirt Girl World. For those of you who are wondering where she is, she's joining in on an exciting little project we've got going on a new app called Good Empire. We're doing some work with a tribe, with an empire of kids in their communities to plant some trees, which is pretty exciting. We launched that this morning. So Dirt Girl is getting grubby back in Dirt Girl World this morning. And she says she's very sorry that she couldn't join us. So, Costa, what do you love most about soil and World Soil Day? I know it is one of your favourite days.
Yeah, Scrap Boy, thank you. What do I love about it? Well, I love the fact that you know it is a day where we can, well, just put it as priority number one. Think about it, do a little bit of reading, do a little bit of activity that can help improve soil. And this year, Scrap Boy, the theme is halt soil salinisation and boost soil productivity. Now, listening to that as a theme, it's like, well, what's that all about? And I mean, this is really, I suppose, big picture and magnification, like soil salinisation. I mean, that happens because we clear forests, we clear trees. It allows the water table to rise, and with that come all those dissolved salts to the surface, which then kill and make it harder for plants to grow. And then if they don't grow roots, they don't drag the water table down, it brings it up even higher. Throw on top of that the idea of any sort of sea level change, and sea level change then brings these dissolved salts closer to the surface as well. So when I look at this theme, I say, okay, there's big picture stuff, and then boosting soil productivity. I say, well, that is big picture, but it's also small picture. How can we boost soil productivity? What can we do in our day-to-day? And probably the simplest thing we can do is separate food scraps and grow compost and build humus by having worm farms and doing activities, whether it's bokashi, whether it's composting in the ground. Either way, there's things that we can do. And when you think about it, I was looking at a few concepts. When you say, okay, well, what activities, what simple things can I do? Anything that we do to slow down water helps protect soil, because when water accelerates, it takes the soil with it. How can we slow down water? We can build soil by increasing the organic matter. And when we increase the organic matter, that means the soil becomes a sponge. We can terrace land so that we catch water, and that can be a terrace or it can be a swale that catches water. We can build windbreaks, because then windbreaks prevent the wind from drying out the soil and blowing it away. We can plant trees that help, trees and ground covers, because that helps to secure the soil. We can plant local species, because local species can grow under the conditions of our local area and they protect the ground. By controlling stormwater, we can hydrate the land around us. So whether that's building rain gardens or whether that's catching stormwater off our roofs into tanks to then infiltrate it into the ground slowly rather than it rush off. We can exercise no-dig gardening techniques, which are valuable because that doesn't turn the soil and disturb the soil and expose it to the sun and expose it to evaporation. Of course, we can mulch, because when we mulch, that stops the impact of rain hitting the ground and throwing particles up into the air, and then taking those particles off into our creeks, eroding the beds of our creeks, which then lowers the water table and drains our landscape. So, you know, they're just some of the things that we can do. And I think, you know, today's a day where we can think about actions that we can then apply over the year ahead and on a daily basis. So yeah, my head is exploding. That's why I've got my gnome's hat on, Scrap Boy.
Oh, Costa, there've been plenty of great questions that have come through. I'd love to quickly talk about the country that we're all on and acknowledge that obviously World Soil Day, is it, how many years, Costa, remind me, I can never remember, is this how many years have we been formally celebrating the event called World Soil Day?
Yeah, well, I was reading about this a couple of years ago, and what happened was about 2002, the International Union of Soil Science advocated for a day, and it took them 10 years, but in 2013, the UN started it. So 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
There you go. And obviously that's the formality of World Soil Day, but wherever you're dialing in from around the world, Dirt Girl's on Bundjalung country in Dirt Girl world. I'm on the lands of the Yagara and the Turrbal people. Obviously, the First Nations people all around the world have been caring for soil in exactly the ways that Costa the Garden Gnome has been speaking about. So we'd like to acknowledge all the traditional custodians and the caretakers of the countries around the world, because obviously soil has been around, Costa, for as long as water's been around. It's one of the oldest things on earth, and as you say, it's the key to all life on earth. And we acknowledge the great work that First Nations people have done to care for country, and we are all doing again together today.
Oh, look, we've got Uncle Ken Jones here from Bungunditj country down in South Australia, and I was with Uncle Ken back in April for the Seaweed Forest Festival over in Manly. And that's actually a segment that we have on Gardening Australia this week, where marine ecologists are regrowing the meadows and seaweed forests off the coast of Sydney, which were decimated when we engineered a system that put all our sewage into the ocean, and that killed the forests of the ocean, and with that the breeding grounds of the entire food chain. And Scrap Boy, you'd love this, and I think this is important on World Soil Day, because stormwater ends up in the ocean, and our actions on the land and how we treat the soil or poorly treat the soil means that soil ends up smothering seagrass beds, Posidonia seagrass beds, or it damages and pollutes and carries toxins into the ocean, which kills the seaweed forest. And the seaweed forests are just like a meadow that have the insects, and then the insects and invertebrates are food for the next order of the food chain. And what they did, they came up with this idea of attaching mats to the rock shelf of the floor of the ocean, and then they collected crayweed from the areas on either edge of Sydney, Sutherland and the Central Coast, gather those together, then they cable tie them to the mats. And what happens is when you remove those plants, they get stressed and they say, I'm going to die. I better seed. I better spawn. So it's a perfect, I'm so happy about this story because of the way it can make us think about finding scientific solutions to help nature and to recover and repair the problems that we've made in years gone by. So you can't have 100 scuba diver marine ecologists out there planting as though they're on the side of a hill in a land care group. But when they plant one plant and it's held on there in the rough wash zone, and then it spawns hundreds of little craybees. And so then the work is done. And then those hundreds make 100 more and so on. So, you know, that's where I think World Soil Day is understanding that our actions, you know, we need to reduce the amount of hard surface, which increases runoff and accelerates water away. We want water where it can stay, build the soil, to feed the plants, to shade the soil, to hold the moisture, to grow the trees, which then transpire the water, to interact with the clouds to rain more and keep our cities cool and grow corridors of vegetation and habitat that we then interconnect from street to house, street to street, suburb to suburb, region to region, state to state. That's what World Soil Day is about.
It's amazing, isn't it, Costa? I mean, we say it in Dirt Girl World all the time, little things make a big difference. And collectively, when science and people power join together, the limit to what we can achieve is literally sky high. It's anything is possible. Anything is possible. We've had heaps of people joining into the stream since we've been on. Good morning, everyone. If you've just joined us, we're tuning in with you this morning, celebrating World Soil Day. And wherever you are in the world, celebrating soil and its importance to the planet and how we're connected to it. Of course, we are nature. I'm Saffron. I think Costa for Prime Minister, Costa the Garden Gnome would rock that red garden gnome hat in Parliament House in Canberra. I think we could probably arrange that. We could arrange that.
Actually, Scrap Boy, while I think of it, I've got over the course of this this discussion we're having together, I want to share with you a few. I thought I'd share with you and everyone a few quotes, a few soil quotes, just to you know, highlight the significance of the day. So the first one I have is from Mahatma Gandhi, and it says, "To forget how to dig the earth and tend the soil is to forget ourselves." So that's my first quote of the morning, and I have I think I got 3 or 4 more, Scrap Boy, that every now and then, if you just want to mid conversation, just go, just throw. We interrupt this conversation to go to a quote. I will share another quote with you.
Perfect. I just got a text from Dirt Girl. She's struggling. She's got her gardening gloves on, but she has sent a text message through. She's got the audio of this live stream in her ear, and she wanted to know if that was a Costa Garden Gnome Mahatma Gandhi or if it was just Mahatma Gandhi. I thought I was the funniest person in Dirt Girl world, but clearly Dirt Girl is in true form. Someone actually said it earlier. It's funny, dirt isn't soil. There's a big difference between dirt and soil, obviously. Soil being the full, rich, healthy version of dirt. Dirt is, I kind of feel like a dirty word because it's denuded of nutrient often. But the beauty of good soil is it's actually good for us, literally. When you get out into the garden and take your shoes off and you bury your feet in the grass and we dig and we breathe in the fresh air in the garden, there's something that happens to us chemically that makes us calmer and more focused and more connected. It's a really interesting, basic thing that soil can actually help with our mental health as well as our own gut health and the health of the planet.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when I was downstairs earlier, so everyone in the feed, Scrap Boy and I were on earlier. I'll allow you to explain what we're up to, Scrap Boy, with the mud pie bake off. But I was out, so everyone, I went out to collect ingredients for the families to apply to their mud pies, and I dug around into my soil out on the street, and that's when you start to realize this difference, Scrap Boy, that you said about dirt and soil. When you create soil, that's a living thing. And I peeled the mulch back, and that's what you see. And I can hear your chickens so clearly. They are going nuts, Scrap Boy. They are amplifiers. It's just coming through. And I'm sure everyone, you can hear Scrappy's chickens there. They are well voiced. Anyway, when chickens clear a healthy landscape, they clear it, and then you see the bugs. You see all the decomposers jumping, and that's what they're going for. They're going for the protein. If they're scratching and not doing that quickly, you know that the soil is closer to dirt than it is to a living soil, because humus is that first layer, and that's made up of all of the decomposing organic matter. So it's the dead things that break down to create the life that life is living off to make more life. So all of those microorganisms, then when you get down into that next level of understanding, where it's all about the fungi and the hyphae and the mycorrhizal networks that are there, breaking what's lived down into minerals and nutrients. And then the hyphae and the fungi, they're dealers. This is like secret deals going on in car parks in the demilitarized zone of the East and West Bloc, because they say, all right, you want minerals, I'll exchange that for some sugars. And this all takes place. And the more we get to understand that, and the more we see that that living matter, that humus, look at me talking with my hands. It makes me excited talking about this. That's where we can have an impact every day, because the more we feed the soil, the more it feeds life to break down and make more soil. And that's the bank that we can all invest in every day. And it's not affected by dodgy political deals. It's not affected by pork barreling and by the status quo. When you build and invest in the soil bank, it gives you returns on nature's truth, not all the other ins and outs. So invest in the soil bank, and your returns will far outweigh anything you can get from the other banks. I got off on an analogy there, but anyway. Oh, have I lost you, Scrap Boy? Oh, okay. I think we might have lost Scrap Boy. So I'll just keep banging on. Maybe it's time to go to a quote. I think it's definitely time to go to a quote. Here we go. This one is by author William Bryant Lowe, and it says, how can I stand on the ground every day and not feel its power? How can I live my life stepping on this stuff and not wonder at it? So that was my Scrap Boy has become a gnome. Yeah, I think he just lost signal. Now, see, he's back.
I did. I dropped out for a second. I put it down to Vera. She you mentioned it. She was scratching around in the background, and I think she might have dislodged my internet connection in the ground. She was digging so deep in the soil there. So I dropped out briefly, but I'm back now. So I've commandeered Vera so she can't cause any more interruptions to the broadcast. Costa, I'm actually glad we've timed this, because it's 8:25 up here on Turrbal country, and I think it's 9:25 where you are, but it is this time when the sun is exactly there in the sky, whatever the time on the clock where you are, where we get a special message from our good friend and soil advocate, Penny. So we thought we might cross to this. Costa, is that okay with you?
I would.
Thank you for supporting World Soil Day. It's a day to raise awareness for everybody in the community of the importance of soil, to recognise just how fundamentally important it is to preserve life on Earth. Management of our soils, protecting our soils and soil health is going to be one of the keys to addressing the big global challenges of food security and of adapting to a changing climate. The UN summed it up really well when they adopted the resolution establishing World Soil Day. The words were, "Soils constitute the foundation for agricultural development, essential ecosystem function and food security. Soils are a key to sustaining life on Earth." The passion that so many people feel about soils, the gardening community, the farming community, the soil scientists, but I want to see that passion spread further. Thank you for the commitment you have made to celebrate this important day. All of us have a shared responsibility not only to raise awareness of the importance of soils, but to spread the word that this is an absolutely precious, vital, natural asset that we have to maintain and restore, not only for our generation, but for the generations to come.
Well, that was the Honourable Penelope or Penny Wensley, our soil advocate and dear friend, an incredible person in the world of soil. And you're all incredible people for joining us here on this Happy Sunday live stream to chat about World Soil Day, soil, and all of the things that we can do in our own special way to help to grow a healthier planet for the future. Hey, Costa, on that subject, I'd love to know what people are doing around the country in their neighbourhood to help to keep the soil healthy and to grow a healthier world. What do you reckon? Should we throw it over to our friends on the chat and find out what people are up to and what they're growing in their neighbourhood? I've actually got some tomatoes in at the moment that I'm protecting with vigour because my chickens have eyed them off every moment since they've sprouted. So I'm protecting my tomatoes from my chickens. What are you growing in your backyard at the moment? Costa the Garden, no?
Well, I was out there yesterday. I came down in the Costa Vader because I'm doing a few things for World Soil Day down here in Sydney. But I've got, listen to your chickens. They are stealing the show, Scrap Boy. They're having a great time. That is such a beautiful sound. I mean, it sounds. Your chickens are as raucous as my frogs. Well, they're not my frog. The frogs that share my nature pond until they go out into the suburbs and find a downpipe or a wet spot to then live, which is really nice. But I have got my sunflower garden, Scrap Boy, that I planted about 6-7 weeks ago it's up to about as tall as me, and yeah, those flowers will be opening just as I had planned, which I wanted them to open right in the holidays. So they're going to be opening in a couple of weeks. So over that Christmas New Year period to make a bit of happiness. So I've got them. I've got corn that's getting close. My cucumbers, I've got the flowers have just they're just transforming from the flower into the little babies, the little cukie babies. I planted some cukie melons yesterday, the little watermelon-shaped cucumelons, the little cucumbers. So I planted some of those. I've got zucchini that are flowering. What else? The tomatoes. Oh, you know, tell me, everyone, if you've had a lot of rain and if you've suffered. I've had this problem happening, Scrap Boy. All my tomatoes have just splitting.
Split. Yeah.
Because we had, you know, literally 7-8 days of just constant rain. And I was so far ahead with my tomatoes this season because I was around, I had some time. So yeah, there's still plenty of tomatoes on there. Hopefully they won't explode. But yeah, that's some of the stuff. What's going on in everyone else's world here?
All sorts of things, from rose bushes. There's been some cabbage, some zucchinis, eggplants, some bok choy, kale. It's pretty amazing. People are growing food gardens by the look of things. And of course, we've got to grow flowers. Bees are a big part of the conversation, and we need flowers to feed the bees so that they can help pollinate and keep our food and everything else ticking over beautifully. We've got some thyme and rosemary from Jason.
Good on you, Jason.
Yeah. So the waterfall Dirt Girl World is referring to is when everyone types in, and on the count of 3, we all dump in the chat what it is that we're growing. Should we try a waterfall? Yeah. There's over 90 people. So I reckon if we all jump into the chat right now, we'll do a Dirt Girl World waterfall. Just pick one thing that you're growing in your garden at the moment to help improve the soil. And on the count of, in fact, we're not going to do a count. We're going to have a fun soil fact, Costa. And when we finish the fun soil fact, we're going to go waterfall and all hit send on our comments at the same time. No pressure, Costa. No pressure. Costa the Garden Gnome, over to you, interrupting the broadcast for a fun soil fact.
Okay, this one is drawing on some history as well. So this is a quote from Leonardo da Vinci, artist and inventor. So think about that. Leonardo, back in that time in history, said, "We know more about the movement of celestial bodies than about the soil underfoot." That's all I have to say about that one.
Okay, well, that means it's time for waterfall. Hit send now, and we will share what you are growing in your backyard. Look at them all come through. Pigeon peas, comfrey, raspberries.
Forage.
Andrea, are your raspberries nuts or are they berries? I'm a bit confused. See what I did there?
Yeah.
The raspberries are nuts? No, I don't think they are. I think they're berries, but could be wrong.
Forage, daisies, peaches, carrot. Get on your carry.
I love growing things that have aroma. I walk past this every day, and as I bump it with my legs, the smell is so yummy. Eggplants, bok choy, pumpkins, beans. I love a good Dirt Girl World waterfall, just saying. So cool. On the subject of water and water flow, Costa, the Garden Gnome, you touched on it earlier, and it's a really important thing, talking about slowing down water as it moves across soil. Obviously, plants and organic matter help to slow the water so that it can soak into the soil. If you are in a part of Australia specifically, because we're getting quite a bit of rain at the moment, and you've got a little backyard and there's a lot of water coursing through your yard, what are some practical tips that we can share with our friends on the stream to help slow water down so that it soaks into the ground to help keep the soil moist?
Yeah, probably the most important thing when you're thinking about water is to understand where you are on the landscape. And that requires, as I say to people, putting on your goggles, your landscape assessment goggles, and say, right, where's the water coming from? Where's it landing on my property? Where is my property in the bigger picture? Am I on the side of a hill? Am I on the ridge top? Am I at the bottom of the hill? Like, does all the water, not just on the infrastructure, not just the footpaths and the roads, but where does the water naturally, if you took all that off, where would the water run? And when you start to do that and you look through the constructed world, you'll start to understand the movement of water better. So simple things you can do, of course, is capture storm water from your downpipes into containers, which you can then use the water. If it's running over the land, you can build things like rain gardens where you catch the water into you can create a depression to allow that to fill up, slowly infiltrate. And then if the rain is heavier, you have an overflow point where it can then go down. And then you can create berms or swales, whatever terminology you choose to use. But it's basically a lip or a little burr, you know, a little kind of anyway, swale. I just call it a swale. So you make a mound, and then if you have that mound, you can then move the water slowly across the land, and then it can overflow at one end and come around another mound. So you can do that on a very small scale, or you can do it on a larger scale, which is what they do on farms to keep the water down. So it's a really good process. I do that even on my nature strip, which has a slight fall, but I dig the paths out, throw that up into the planting bed, and then I fill the dug path out. I fill the dug path in with wood chip. The wood chip breaks down, brings all of that mycorrhizal fungi and all of the goodness of the broken down wood chip into the soil. And then next season, I plant over the top of that, or I might leave it 2 years, doesn't matter. I plant over the top of that and put wood chip where the old garden soil was. And that way it's just this rotation. But every time I do that, because the garden bed's raised, no water can run past that other than the water on that section of path. And it sits in the depression in the wood chip and breaks it down. So that's sort of what you can do to start to think.
Hey, Costa, I think it's time to interrupt the broadcast for a fun water fact from Scrap Boy, aka Soil Boy, on December 5. A lot of people probably don't know this fun fact, but did you know that the water that we have on planet Earth today is exactly the same water that has been here since the beginning of all time? So when we drink water, or water falls from the sky in the form of precipitation as rain, or we catch water in a swale, or redirect water with a mound in our backyard, that water is the very same water that the dinosaurs would have drunk and swum in all of those many, many, many thousands, if not millions of years ago. Isn't that incredible? So not only is soil worth celebrating and worth protecting, our water is precious. And as we touched on very early, soil and water, we need to protect the fresh water and the clean soil we have from salt or saline, because it can be a really big problem. Sorry to get distracted, but I think someone made a really good point that we should probably just share. It was Lauren. Yeah, you're right. Costa the Garden Gnome has, what is going on over the back of your left shoulder there, please, Costa the Garden Gnome? Without getting distracted, what's happening in the background?
In this, look, I have my Chucky here with me too, but my colleagues here, my fellow Costas, they provide all sorts of support during what's been 12 months of Zooms and all sorts of online. So I have a different variety of Costas. This is a ceramic, very single dimension Costa, fairly flat, ideal for hanging in a Christmas tree or in the garden. Then we have our collection of Costa the Garden Gnome, which is also available in Scrap Boy and Dirt Girl models. So that's our Dirt Girl World one. That's a more traditional Costa Gnome. This is a Costa Gnome that was made by a wonderful friend from the Wayside Chapel. And then this one came from the Nannup Flower and Garden Festival, knitted. There was about 200 of them this lady made and was selling them. And so I bought two little Costas, and he's good in a Zoom because he can zoom and fly over. So yeah, they're part of my they're part of my support network during this time. And, you know, I just wanted to go on with what you were saying. I like the idea that as I brew my cup of tea, it has some of the back, you know, a little bit of a back flavor, a terroir of Tyrannosaurus. You know, the Tyrannosaurus has had a bit of a wee and maybe even a poo, and that's gone in and created those flavors, which are then taken on by the water. And then when I mix it with my tea, definitely got a Tyrannosaurus back palate.
I don't think that's quite how you pronounce it, Costa the Garden Gnome. I think it's Tyrannosaurus. I think that's the correct pronunciation. Yeah. I love some of the suggestions too, by the way, of the collective noun for a group of gnomes. If you've got any ideas, we would love to have your thoughts. I don't know that there's an official term of a collective noun for a collection of gnomes, because I don't think they happen very often. I think that's the truth. I mean, there's Gnome Fest, where some gnomes come together once a year, and there's your gnomes, but I don't think they occur very often in large groups. It's quite a rare sighting.
The girl has said here, an anomaly of gnomes. That would be the collective.
The collective noun, and it works because obviously without it being frequent, it is an anomaly. So an anomaly of gnomes is, I think Dirt Girl's probably got it right as usual.
A gaggle?
Yes, a gaggle of gnomes. Anyone else got suggestions? Lisa, I've had the best time as well. If you have to jump off, don't forget that World Soil Day might just be the one day of the calendar year, December 5, Dirt Girl's birthday. But obviously, we celebrate soil and water and nature every single day in Dirt Girl World, and you can too, wherever you are. The other thing that I don't think we've really talked enough about today was, I think a few people might have missed it if they jumped onto the stream a little after 9 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. But did everyone catch Costa's music video at the top of the stream? Can we just talk about that for a second? Costa the Garden Gnome, Get Down and Dirty. I love that. That is one of my favorite songs to have ever come out of the Dirt Girl World albums. Did you have fun making that music video, Costa the Garden Gnome? Because it looked like you were as happy as a pig in mud in that video. That is for sure.
Yeah, what people wouldn't realize is that with the awesome Dirt Girl World Get Grubby team, we filmed that entire video in one day. We went to a few locations around Sydney. I was fortunate enough when we'd been at Centennial Park doing the opening piece where I'm walking with the wheelbarrow. We were coming out of Centennial Park and there was this entire posse of police horses. And I was just like, stop, because the horses were in front of us and they're walking slowly and then they're just pooping onto the road. And I thought, oh, and so then I just ran along behind them and we filmed it. Like it there is no way you could have contacted the police department and said, can we get 20 horses walking along and pooing just outside Centennial Park so that we can do a music video? Like there would have been a comms person and it just, like there's no way it could have happened. But in the moment, it just happened. And then I remember there was one thing over near the golf course opposite Centennial Park, there's this big grass hill. And we had this idea that I'd roll down and it was really big and I rolled and rolled and rolled. And like, seriously, I got so dizzy. I stood up and we filmed it but I stood up and I was just like, we then we had a lunch break and I couldn't even eat. I was just, and you know, the best part when you do filming is often things don't make it. And that didn't even make the video because we had enough. And you just go, oh, that was pain. That was tears and heartache to do that. And then we did a section where I got on the bus and I went 2 or 3 stops on the bus and was just singing a little bit. And people were just, because I had it in my ears, but people on the bus couldn't hear the song. So I was just singing and yeah, that was really funny. And then we went to the Opera House, and we had the guards from the security from the Botanic Gardens, and they were chasing me, and that was fun. And then the guard at the Opera House chased me because I was planting into the gaps on the forecourt of the Opera House. So yeah, it was an amazing day, and all of the team behind it, Kate and Huey and the production team that helped make it, the cameras and sound and all of that. Like to get all that content in one day was epic. It was epic. Like, and even the bit where I was on the skateboard, that just happened when we were over in near the markets there, near the Sydney football ground, Sydney cricket ground. And these three guys were going past on their skateboards. I said, "Oh, can I have a go?" And we just filmed that little bit. And like, there was just serendipity when I was walking, and then the dog was barking, and I was using the shaver as a microphone, and this dog started barking, and it was all captured. Yeah, the team were really on that day. It was unreal. And then I watch it. I think about all those moments every time I watch it.
It's such a great video. Sam asked a really lovely question while we were hearing about your experience making that music video, about how people got into gardening. Of course, gardening is one of the best things that we can do for the soil and the planet, growing our own food, growing flowers. And we've had some really lovely answers. I actually am a little bit cheeky. Soil Boy didn't ask about that music video for no particular reason, because I actually love that so much, Costa. I reckon if we have time and with everyone's permission, we should rock that song one more time. And feel free to sing along at home if you know the words. And for those who loved Happy as a Pig in Mud, it is a line in this song. So Paulie's saying that they need this video. Okay, it's not a question of want, it is a need. On World Soil Day, we all need this song. So I'm going to ask, to the power of the StreamYard, let's settle in and enjoy 2.5 minutes of extreme Costa the Garden Gnome Down and Dirty. Crank it up, dance in your...
Yeah, I think I got it here. Take it down. Yow! Drop down, get all dirty. You just gotta bend your knees. Get down, get all dirty. Drop down, get all dirty. Just roll up your sleeves. Get down, get all dirty. It's brown, brown and dirty funky beat. Get down, down and dirty. Don't hold back, you can dive right in. There's no time like now to begin. Get down, down and dirty. Yeah! Got a one-track mind when it comes to digging. With a shovel or a spade, I'm like a happy little pig in mud. Got a one-track mind when it comes to digging. With a shovel or a spade, I'm like a happy little pig in mud. Get down, get all dirty. Just gotta bend your knees. Get down, dig it. Drop down, get all dirty. Just roll up your sleeves. Get down, get all dirty. Yeah! Turn off that screen, get yourself unclean. There's a whole new paradigm and you don't need a neon sign. Embrace a change, make a shift. It's time for everyone to live, so spread the word, make some noise. All the mums and dads, all the girls and boys. Let's dance! Yeah! Get down. Yeah, I think I got it here. Get down. Take it down. Love it. Let's move it. Get down. Get down.
Well, there you have it. Cost of the Garden Gnome in his best-selling single, Get Down. Awesome. Thank you so much to everyone for being a part of that. Oh, wow. What good fun on Soil Day. I reckon that is the World Soil Day anthem, Cost of the Garden Gnome. Or,
Oh,
yeah, it should be at least if it's not an official World Soil Day anthem.
yeah. Look, it's an absolute cracker song, and Huey and Kate's lyrics just like it just works, you know. And then the soundtrack, it's catchy, and that's what you want, you know, to get people in. But yeah, we had so much fun making that and watching it. I just remember like walking in at Lily Pond, you know, with my wheelbarrow into the pond, and then coming out the other side and in and amongst the paper bugs. That was all at Centennial Park, and reenacting that skateboard. That skateboard bit, that was one take. It was just like, okay, jump on, boom. We just
and
it was.
Can I just say, it's a high-risk business for a concrete garden gnome to be jumping on a skateboard on a footpath. I mean, one wrong step cost to the garden gnome, and it is straight to gnome hospital. I mean, it's dangerous business. I mean, concrete on concrete, it is not pleasant when it happens.
Yeah, well, you'd end up as a bit of gravel and road base and kind of mixed into some concrete. So yeah, you got to be careful. But yeah, I got down the bottom and survived that, and onwards we went to then we went down to the Opera House, and yes, sort of did all that, you know. And you just realise, you just go, wow, like a film clip in front of the Opera House on the Opera House steps, like. I mean, ka-chink. I mean, you know, that's a bit of a bucket. That's beyond a bucket list. That was a life moment, you know. And you watch it there, and you just think, wow, we did that on the Opera House. I'm planting into the steps of the Opera House. It was, yeah, it was. That was special. It's very special.
Lisa, there's a request from Lisa that we could do a song together, Costa the Garden Gnome. I assure you, Costa and I jam plenty, but we'll work on a song together to share for you, Lisa. Maybe we can organise a concert for one. Ah, dear. Look, I have had the best time this morning. I think we could probably go on all day and talk about soil. Some big take homes, I guess, is soil is life. Let's protect our soil, and we can start by doing that in our very own naturehoods, in our backyards. Whether you're going to grow a food garden at your house, whether you've got a verge garden, do some guerrilla gardening out the front of your building. If you're in an apartment living in some medium density, get some good quality soil and grow some plants on your veranda. Flowers for the bees, food for the soul, and food for our gut. And of course, do whatever we can to protect our soil by making sure we don't contaminate the soil in our naturehood. Costa, what have you got planned for the rest of World Soil Day?
Well, I just noticed here that Paulie's heading off to dig it in the garden. Good on you, Paulie. Thanks, Lisa and Robin and Lauren. Welcome, and thanks for being with us. Well, I thought, well, what am I doing? I am going down. I got asked to go down to the local, a little local club on the beachfront at Bondi, because the fishing club down there has a little garden that they want to try and get rid of all the weeds that have grown in there and look at doing some planting. So I'm going to go down and have a look at that and just suggest all of the local native species that grow along the coast and have a bit of a chat to them. I'm going to plant some things into the street garden down here. And I thought, Scrap Boy, I should see. I think I started with that concept of you know, life depends on the soil, and that there can be no life without soil and no soil without life. The fact that they evolve together. That was a quote that I sort of drew on early, but I've got a closing quote, and I'm just going back, you know, along the theme of Leonardo da Vinci and a bit of history. To be a successful farmer, gardener, carer for country, land carer. You can insert multiple definitions there, but to be a successful a farmer or land carer, one must first know the nature of soil, and that was told by Xenophon, the ancient Greek philosopher, back in 430 BC. So when you think about that quote, you think about Leonardo da Vinci, you think about what the soil advocate was saying. I mean, those three people are all talking about the same thing, and World Soil Day is bringing that fungal, that hyphae, that thread, that root of connection across centuries. And as you said, First Nations knowledge and understanding of soil, and how soil creates a plant community that then requires management to maintain and generate and regenerate that soil, to look after those plants and that plant association, and that idea that people had totems and your responsibility was to look after this animal. But to look after that animal, you need to be in close consultation with the person that's looking after the grasses, or the person that's looking after the trees, because the trees bring the flowers and the nectar, which brings the birds, which deposit the manure, which then attract other small creatures. Like all of that, back to the top of what we're talking about, that interconnectedness. I suppose that's what makes me enjoy a day like today, because we can draw everything back to the soil.
Deb's made a really beautiful and poignant comment to share with everyone, and that is that gardening is believing in tomorrow. And in a way, I feel like that really sums it up beautifully, Deb, that caring for soil and celebrating soil, because soil is the bedrock of all life, really is in every way so hopeful and such a beautiful gift to share today. And as Rachel says, we are all the guardians, and we couldn't agree more. Today, on this World Soil Day, wherever you are in the world, we are charging you, or calling you to action, to protect the soil in your part of the world. And together, we are soil warriors. And get out there, and I'm wearing my soil hat, and this is a little message that I can share without even having to push a button. Can everyone read that? Feed the soil.
Feed the world.
Feed the world. Yeah. Awesome. So thanks so much for joining us. Unless Dirt Girl jumps in and has any more breaking news videos or messages from anyone else, if you've got more questions, you know where to find us. You can catch us on the Dirt Girl World Facebook. You can message Dirt Girl or me at Scrap Boy. And stay connected to soil. If you've got a mud pie kitchen, why not bake some mud pies with your little people, do some gardening, feed the chickens, or go down and spend some time by the sea or the ocean if you can, because sand and soil are not that different. They both play pretty similar roles in that part of the world. And or crochet a chicken. What do you reckon, Costa? I think that's a great way to celebrate Chicken Day, or Gnome Day. I'm so confused. Is it Chicken Day, Gnome Day, Soil Day? It's everything day in Dirt Girl World at the moment.
Today's also International Volunteer Day, Emilio Antilles has just mentioned. And yes, Emilio, we don't have community without volunteers. And thanks for letting us know about that. Annie, Alana, Jeremy, Paulie, Jill. Wow, thanks everyone.
Jeremy.
It's been
big shout out to you, Jez, and your little ones on World Soil Day. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us on the stream. We'll look forward to seeing you all soon. Costa, have fun and stay safe, and happy World Soil Day, everyone. Stay safe out there.
Bye.
I'm a nature detective,
An explorer, a spy.
on a mission to discover.
What walks, what flies.
Look up,
Look down. Look all around. Don't stand.
don't shout.
Be on the lookabout. On a walkabout.
I'm a nature detective,
An explorer. A spy.
on my mission to discover.
What walks? What glides?
Look here,
Look there. Look absolutely everywhere. Sneak about.
sniff about. Be
On the lookabout. On a walkabout.
La 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 la.
Walking in the garden.
La 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 la.
Walking in the garden. I can see so many things around me.
Walking in the garden.
I can see so many things around me. Crawling in the garden. I can see so many things around me.
Squirming in the garden.
I can see so many things around me. Flying in the garden.
Ants on a march about.
Bugs on a crawl about.
Birds on a flap about.
Frogs on a leap about. On a walkabout. Nature walkabout.
Ants on a march about. Ants on a march about.
Bugs on a crawl about.
Bugs on a crawl about. Birds on a flap about. Birds on a flap about. I'm on a walkabout.